Okay, today's episode is titled Purposeful Leadership in the Public Sector, and our guest is a woman who turned leadership in legacy and power into purpose, Ayanda Mafuleka. She's a chartered accountant and a seasoned public sector leader whose career spans over 2 decades in financial, strategic leadership, and institutional transformation in the public sector. Ms. Mafuleka has served on various boards such as Rand Water Foundation, Eskom, Escape All States-Owned Institution, to name a few. She has chaired audits and risk committees in several national and provincial government departments, including Department Relations and Cooperation and Provincial Departments of Education, Economic Development, and Tourism. Miss Ayanda is deeply committed to women empowerment and advancement, youth development, and skills development. Most recently, she completed the prestigious International Women's Forum Fellowship at France, where she refined her leadership philosophy. She leads with purpose, and she believes public institutions should not serve the people, but empower them to rise. Thank you for coming through, Ms. Mafuleka.
Thank you so much, Langelihle, for having me today. I am really humbled. Thank you.
Okay, can you please take us back to young Ayanda, your journey into public leadership? What lit the fire for your purpose for survival? Just take us back to that early kid, Ayanda, who's yes. Let's just get with your background first.
Okay. Well, Langelihle, I hail from Umlazi, KZN, KwaZulu-Natal. I mean, I grew up from the dusty street of Umlazi, like any other kids. I mean, I was an outdoor, and outgoing, child. I was raised in a matriarchal household, raised by two strong women, my grandmothers, the maternal grandmother and my paternal grandmother. I was born into, the young parents. My mom was a teenager when she had me, and my dad, they were very young. So mostly, I grew up then in the community, in the village of aunts, moms, and grandmothers, but mostly, I was raised by my grandmothers. As a child, I mean, I went to primary school in the township until, my paternal mother from KwaMafuleka side, when she retired, took me to Hill boarding school, a Catholic boarding school. I think that's where then, the love of reading, the love I mean, where really, I had that desire to be something better, as an adult. So I must say, I struggled during my childhood with stuttering. I still stutter actually. So really, I was that person that was very conscious about public speaking, about standing in front of the class, because I suffered more humiliation, when I was growing up, to a point where when I wanted to choose a career, the question that I asked myself was, which career, that I will not have to do, public speaking. Initially, my love was to be a doctor or a lawyer. But then I thought because I stutter, then I might not make a good lawyer. So hence I opted for, for an accountant. So I have never done accounting at high school. So I was just a, math and science. So for fast track, went to the University of Natal, did my degree, then went, to work. But the love and, of becoming a chartered accountant was always there because I just couldn't understand why we had so very few black female chartered accountants then. They were less than 3%. I mean, we could count them, with the, hands and toes. So there were not many as compared to now. So really, I am grateful that I came across women, who were CAs that I looked up to. Then I did my articles with the National Treasury in Pretoria. That's where my love for the public sector started. That was my first stint working for the government. But prior to that, I mean, I was sponsored, by Transnet. They funded my degree studies. So that is why I came to Joburg all the way from Durban, to start with my, to start with work there after I had graduated. But because I also had a child at a very young age. When I was in university, I fell pregnant. But thank God that there were women, a woman like Sis Maureen continued to fund my studies despite having not done well when I was pregnant. So I was able to graduate. So fast forward, my love for the public sector was sparked when I was at the National Treasury, because at the National Treasury, I got exposed to different departments, different entities. I mean, I was consolidating the government books, the financial statements from all of these departments and all of these entities. I was allocated the biggest, cluster being the economic and development cluster. So where there were even Escoms there were, the Transnets there. So really, I got that, I got inspired to say, actually, I want to work for the public sector. And you'll know that government, it's not about making profit, it is about service delivery. So after I had qualified as a chartered accountant at the National Treasury, then I was seconded to the Robben Island Museum, because the entity was going through, challenges for, mismanagement there. Then, the start of leading and turning around institutions, in the public sector started. So I have really been from Robben Island. I've been to the Department of Home Affairs. I've been, to the National Credit Regulator. Now I am at FASSET. So FASSET, it is one of those 21, seaters. So I'm a CEO there, and it is a seater, by the way, that also played a key role in me becoming a chartered accountant, because they funded my board exam, or rather the program that was preparing me for the board exam. So they paid it forward for me. So really, I am a CAs. So really, that's me in a nutshell.
You mentioned that you lead facets. For those outside the system, what's the real impact of what you do, and why should the average South African really care?
Hmm. That's a very, that's a very, valid question, because I mean, in the country, we have about 21, seaters, and each seater is demarcated for a sector, for a particular sector. So FASET is in a finance and accounting services sector. I mean, we talk about the audit, the sector includes even the banks. It includes the auditing firms. It includes, all the finance, tax, practitioners and organization. But I just want, for the listeners, just to take them briefly of of what we would do at FASSET and what is FASSET about. So FASSET really isn't just about funding bursaries or learnerships or internships. No, we've got so many programs that we fund all to get people into our FASSET sector. I mean, we want previously disadvantaged learners and beneficiaries to enter our sector and be chartered accountants, be tax practitioners, go there and lead, these institutions within our sector. But the question is, why should the average young South African care about this? So as I was saying, it is not only about giving bursaries and funding this learnership. We are also about building, ladders of access into one of the most influential yet historically exclusive sectors of the economy. And we know that the finance sector, it is still not yet much transformed. There are very few Black leaders and people in the sector that are leading the sector. So really, we as FASSET, we sit in a critical space between education and employment. So it is about also bridging the gap many young people fall into after graduation. You'll know that, I mean, there's been research across the PSET sector, and including from the Human Resource Development Council and many scholars that then have confirmed that young South Africans are often trained, but they are not work ready. Yes, they qualify, they graduate, but they remain unemployed. So there's that disconnect that we are here as FASSET to fix. So how then do we do that? So we have designed career value chains at FASSET from high school, talent identification to professional development. So, and we also fund work experience, mentorship and practical pathways. But more than that, Langelihle, we challenge a system that often rewards privilege and punishes, potential. So to a point where we've even taken it down to the TVET colleges, to the CETs, the community-based education training, because we want these people, for them to be, to be absorbed into our sector, because our sector should not be for the privileged few. So why should a young person care? Because why? Because we are not just developing skills, we are creating access to power. Every time we support a Black graduate, like Langelihle, a young woman, or a person with a disability into a leadership track, we are not just changing one life, but we are shifting the architecture of the opportunity in South Africa. So, I mean, I could come up with so many initiative and as the way forward. But I just want to tell the young people there that FASSET's mission is simple but profound. That is not just to move people into the system or into the FASSET sector, but we are here to reshape the system so it works for more people.
For the young person who's watching this, who's tired, and what's the realest advice you can give them today, a Black South African? I'm asking this question because there's this story I was reading about, so I just written it down a bit. Maybe I can just remember it, but I'm just gonna say it. So there's this a story about a little boy who saw a giant elephant, right, tied to a tree with a tiny rope. Confused, he asked his dad how something so small could hold such a powerful animal. His father replied, when the elephants are young, they are tied with the same rope. Back then, it's strong enough to hold them. Eventually, they stop trying. They believe they can't break free, even when they're fully grown. It's not the rope that holds them, it's the mental limitations. So I think we're being colonized in a way that I'm seeing from a guy like me who's coming across, and I see a white guy who's my peer. Well, I have white friends and Indian friends who's my peer, and I'm gonna be like, he's in some degree better than me, or in some way, because we're currently even experiencing that even now in today's time. Or even if I'm seeing this white girl or chick, I'm gonna say that white chick is looking, you know,
Mm.
compared to that black average, South African. So I think we have this mindset of actually mostly worshiping um white, or is it white supremacy, it's white superiority complex that has been pushed into our minds, even if it's not physical. Now, we're not slaves, physical slaves, as in how we were
Yes.
really regulated in terms of the policies back then. But I think now we're slaves in our mental states. So I think as you now have broken boundaries as a chartered accountant and went into space where there were fewer black, South Africans in that niche market to study that you ventured into. So I want you to give anyone who's looking into this interview today, what's the realest advice you could give them into breaking into boundaries in a niche market?
Wow. You know, the story that you have just shared, it is very profound. And I like, the last part, as I say, it is the mental, constraint, or is it what we tell our minds? And I mean, you have said it right, in a sense that yes, we have been colonized, but now we should really, our eyes and minds should be liberated, as Black Africans, and even Black South Africans. And as you were citing this, I could sense and feel, the passion and the revolutionary spirit, in you. So for me, Langelihle, there's this poem that I like. It is written by a woman, Marianne. I'm just gonna cite or just read an extract, of it, because as I answer and talk to the young, person who has been overlooked, who's tired, and who has lost hope, and also as I sponsor, which I hope is the practical and the realist advice. But let me just read this. It says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. The problem is we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, as a young person or as a Black person? We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, to be talented, to be fabulous, to be clever? But actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. You playing small does not save the world. So we are born to make manifest, and that is within us. So we are powerful beyond measure. And I want to say, as we are liberated as young people from our own fear, our presence must automatically liberate others. So this is just one of, the poems that also have kept me going. I know that it has been also been incorrectly attributed to Nelson Mandela, but I like to believe that he also liked, you know, to to cite this poem. But as I just want to start by saying to the young people, I see you. I really do. And I want to dispel this narration, or that rather this narrative that young people are lazy. I want to say you are not lazy. You are not failing. you are trying to make a life in a system that often feels like it's working against you, not for you. So, yes, it is hard, Langelihle, brutally hard. I mean, young people, they are against high unemployment. And, we are struggling with a system where there's still a shortage of relevant skills, and a tertiary education system that is still expensive. But yes, there have been strides that have been made by, our democratic government through, likes of, SETAs, FASSET, the likes, NSFAS, that are funding, learners to go to university, TVET colleges, but it is still not enough. Our tertiary education, it is expensive, and by its pricey and by it being expensive, it then excludes some of our learners. So really our tertiary system it is underfunded. But I want to say is that yes, you are not imagining this. Yes, it is the odds that are unfair. But we together we can still reshape this system that's going to be friendly towards young people. But here's also the practical reality to the young people. One, I want to say to you, our economy really has not grown for the longest. I mean, it has been growing by less than 1%. So the economy is not growing, is not creating jobs. So I want to give you this practical, advice that one, don't wait for a perfect path. Build something. It might be imperfect now. So if you can't go to university, as I've said, I mean, sometimes, others are not able to go to the varsity because also the demand is high vis-a-vis the supply. I want to encourage someone to look for short courses. We have digital, in economy that is emerging. We've got AI. So there are many free and low cost, courses and platforms through LinkedIn Learning. And there are courses that we offer that are free of charge from SETA. We have partnered with our Microsoft, to also train learners on IT and digital skills. So it might not be your dreams, first, but start somewhere. It might be your start. So don't let funding barriers stop you from developing your confidence and your capacity. Secondly, I want to say to the young people as the most practical advice that I will give is learn what the job market is actually asking for. I know that, as a country, we are also, and actually sitters as well, we are not really, we have not mastered this. We are still, even universities, they are still producing qualifications and skills that's not what the market is looking for, the job market is looking for. So I want to say to young people, research. You guys have phones, you've got smartphones, so focus on transferable skills like digital literacy, communication. I mean, you are doing podcast, and this it is. I mean, I just hope that as you continue to do this Langelihle, this will be your trade to a point that it will bring you more money and profits. And one I've heard from you is this was self-taught, and I must commend you for that as well. To say, do look for transferable skills, digital skills as well. Look for, all occupations on various, sectors. But the niche that is there is entrepreneurship. The economy is not creating jobs, but it's people like you, Langelihle, young people, that are going to be entrepreneurs and create jobs. And please, this is very important as well. Please, young people, don't suffer in silence. Ask for help. Go to your local NYDA, offices. We've got seats, we've got community skills centers there. Apply, apply. I know you were gonna say, but I have been applying. Ask for mentors, get into a mentorship program, and some people that are gonna guide you, and they could even review your CV. Please, like, on social media, go to LinkedIn. I don't have an issue with Facebook. I don't have an issue with Twitter, but I find LinkedIn for young people that want to be professional, that wants to learn, that wants to get into job market or be entrepreneur. I find LinkedIn more relevant, than Facebook. Um, Lastly, but not least, I just want to say to you, don't confuse, rejection with your worth. Yes, you will apply. There will be so many no's, sometimes before that big yes or that big break. So please don't be discouraged. Yes, you might even get 50 rejections, but apply anyway. Continue. You know, knows more than I can count, but I kept on showing up. So, not because it was easy, but because I knew my potential was still intact. So, yours, it's still intact too. So, just because you haven't found a door yet doesn't mean your future doesn't exist. So, as I've said, really, um, South Africa is facing a youth unemployment crisis, and we need a government, private sector, and educational institutions that will step up in ways that are bold and immediate. But while we wait for that system, or rather to have that system shift, you cannot afford to give up on yourself. Young people, you cannot afford to give up on yourself. Know that you are your own greatest asset. So keep learning, keep trying, and keep moving. You are not invisible.
Basic, basically, you're saying a young person must act. Action changes things.
Must
That's one
what?
of act, ACT. Action changes things. There's a great analogy that is, I've been watching Penny the Black Pen. I don't know if he's been interviewing this particular guest, but this guest says something very interesting. He says, if you get stuck on the side of the road, get out of your own car
Yes.
because you'll be surprised to see how many people will pass by and start pushing because they see you
Oh,
pushing.
yes. Oh, yes. Keep pushing. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Um, you might say, I don't have this equipment to start my bakery shop or whatsoever, but I don't think people who are leading in businesses are actually people who've sold so many goods or services and actually profited from being, one of the wealthiest entrepreneurs in South Africa. They've been funded. Johan Rupert has this great
Mm,
quote. He says, "Invest in people is an asset. Invest in people is an asset." Not saying that investing in people is a gets a be a good employer or supporting employees in a different facets or whatever. But it's saying that I might be running a shop, right? And
yes.
I'm
Mhm.
losing money. But someone who's gonna get funded and running a shop is gonna his revenue is gonna be increasing tremendously. It's just the mindset that he involved in his venture or whatever journey he chose in such entrepreneurial journey to actually propel his career. It's a different mindset. So investing in people as an asset is an analogy of saying you must choose the right people to invest on.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Actually, you've touched on something as well there that I just want to add. Networking, it is very important, by the way. I mean, as a young person, you don't start only when you are looking for something or something like that. I mean, this platform, it is also a good networking platform, as well, on social media. Instead of just liking or going to TikTok and be fixated on the new dance challenges, go to the social media and use them, to get access, to people, like Rupert's page, if there is. So there is power also in networking. They always say your network is your net worth. So I just like that you have also cited, the likes of Robert, know people so that the people can invest in you and they can be your sponsor as well.
You've called your work at FASSET a calling, not just a career. What does that day look like? What does day-to-day look like in a public sector that's often deeply politicized?
Well, for me is I just like to share this with the listeners that I last held a job 7 years ago before I joined FASSET. I mean, I have done my years as a CFO, but when I got into FASSET as the CEO, it was more than, a job for me, but it was more of a calling because, I get to do what I am passionate about. I am really passionate about young people, mostly women. I am a person that I am passionate about making a difference. And this was even more of a calling because I can relate to Facet. Facet made a difference in my life, contributed in my life. So every day I am driven by that passion, by that purpose, or by that calling to say, to today, whose life am I impacting? Today, whose life, and I'm gonna make it better? Whose life and am I making difference? So that resonates with the public sector as well, because the public sector, it is about taking service delivery to people. So my service delivery, it's more about skills development, taking skills development to the people. It has been a calling, despite it being in a politicized environment, but I get to push, the calling to women empowerment and advancement. Because for me is I was angry, at varsity upon learning that there were qualifications, or there were sectors, or there were professional designations that where women, there were very few. A case in point, the CASA one. I mean, we still have sectors like mining that are still male dominated. So really, I was angry to say, but why this cannot be? And also, mind you, Langelihle, I'm coming from a matriarchal household where I've seen the strength of a woman. I mean, I come from a household where my aunts, they are practically running their household, they are running the show, and I could relate and I could fully appreciate the strength of a woman, the power and the influence of a woman. So then I couldn't understand why women are not invited into the table. Actually, not even invited, but why are we not inviting ourselves into the table? So that is why I opted to do a CA, to say, actually, I am going to invite myself into this prestigious, profession of a CA. So at first said, it is a calling because exactly like that, and I've been able and I've been privileged to influence, transforming the facet sector, in a sense that, I mean, I have curated a come up with legacy projects that I were aiming to empower women. I had partnered, Facet had partnered with various universities, Duke, IWF, VET, where we have fully funded a program that empowered women leaders across, all the sectors, public sector and the private sector. As women leaders, we fly them to Singapore, we've flown them to London, to the US, to the African countries, because we want these women to be empowered so that they can move to other levels, higher levels, and be CEOs of these institutions, and be board members, as well into this, institution. And wherever I am, not only at FASSET, I sit as a board a member of Eskom, Escape Water Foundation. I am always vocal about women empowerment, and not only just employing women, because employment is not empowerment on its own. So it should not be about employing women, counting numbers that we've got 5 women vis-a-vis, 7 men, or whatever the case may be about stat, but it's about putting women also in decision-making position. It is about reshaping systems that are friendly, to women as well. So, with as one who has been pushing that agenda, transformative agenda, obviously you are going to be met with resistance. But what I have appreciated is that, we have men, allies that are warming up and supporting, this transformative agenda of empowering women. Because, empowering a woman is not replacing men, but it is bringing the diversity into the boardrooms, diversity into decision making. Because I believe that, when you empower a woman, you empower a nation. And we cannot be, the continent or the nation that aspire to develop and grow economy without empowering the majority, population. So, and unfortunately, women are the majority, even globally as well.
Legacy is a heavy word for anyone. What would make you feel like your work was truly worth it? Just closing off. And what is your quiet hope for leaders, especially women leaders coming after you?
Okay, well, for me, really, I always aspire to leave legacies. A legacy is not what you leave for people. A legacy is what you leave with people. I had struggled at some point to answer the question that says, what do I want to be remembered, for, or what do I want to be remembered for? But I think I have been very intentional, Langelihle, in my work, that I create and leave lasting legacy. I don't want to say the motto, what is it called? The punchline for FASSET. It says creating lasting legacies. For me, that's what I intentionally do every day. And particularly for the women, women leaders, and having someone that has gone through the journey as a woman leader, where I have been into boardrooms where I have felt very cold because I am the only one, or and probably where I felt that my voice was not amplified. Women leaders, they don't have to find voices, they do have voices, but we need to amplify our voices so that we are heard. So I don't want women that are coming after me, women leaders that are coming after me, to go through the same. So that is why I am creating, that legacy, being the pathfinder and be the trailblazer for them, and clearing ways and shattering, the glass ceilings. So I don't only want to shatter the glass ceilings. I want to open the roof, all of it open for them. So really, I am intentional, and that word legacy, it is very important to me. So this morning, I was just writing a tribute for my dad. One thing that I said there, as I close in the tribute, I said, my dad might not have left a legacy of wealth for me, but he left a legacy of for a daughter that I walk confidently, knowing that my father loved me dearly. That's what he left with me as a legacy of love, of knowing, their father's, the father's love. So Nami, that's what I just want to live as well. Say where I have been, I want to leave that mark and that legacy for the other leaders to come before me. And a great leader, as I close, a great leader is someone who plant a tree, even though the leader is not going to benefit from the shade of that tree.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Mama Mafuleka for coming through, and it was a great interview. It was a great initiative, and I'm just so grateful for your time,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me as well and for being patient with me. Thank you.